Welcome back, everyone. We made it to the top.
Right. We've reached the mountaintop.
We did.
So excited.
Yeah, I know you expect the unexpected when I interview Jonathan, so that's good.
But it's a good
Is the view okay for you, you think? Or?
Yeah, it
Beautiful.
works.
It's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Well,
I mean, if you were looking for inspiration or something like
Yeah.
that, you know what I'm saying?
there are a few of those around here, but this is very special.
Yeah, the Fort Edward Bowling Alley is another one for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
everybody should experience that at least once in their lifetime.
I totally
This
agree with
one,
you.
We'll keep it select.
All right, now she's thinking to herself at this point, what am I
going
doing
on?
here?
I know.
Why am I sitting here? This is Sara Knight, who is artistic director for the Chevalier Ballet. Welcome.
Thank
Very
you.
nice to have you here.
Nice to be here.
Notice how we got serious there all
Yeah.
of a sudden? Good, okay. The reason that I wanted to do this interview is I was talking to Jonathan about the many things that he's involved with. And of course, you're very familiar with the Strand Theatre in Hudson Falls, in Hudson River, Music Hall, across the pond, oh my God, and all of the different sort of collaborations and musicians and all the things that you do, not to mention your solo work. So all of a sudden, John and I were sitting one day and we were talking about it. He said, hey, you know, I met this absolutely amazing woman who runs this dance company, and we started talking and we started to think about, wouldn't it be wonderful to choreograph Beatles music to ballet? And lo and behold, both of you managed to pull that
it's
off.
And it's
You
happened.
did
It's
it.
still happening.
You did.
Yeah.
We're going to go back just a little bit, and I'm going to ask you, when did you meet? How'd you meet?
So it was through a dancer that we were both familiar with. I used to be a piano teacher to a wonderful dancer in the North Country through Adirondack Repertory Dance Theater. I used to play piano for them. So Cassidy Prince was a student of mine, and then she became a student of yours in the city
Yes.
as a dancer.
Yeah.
So, and then her mom introduced us as saying, this is a venue you might want to look at if you're thinking of rehearsing your shows before they go to the city. So we have the Strand
Oh, yeah,
Theatre
that's right.
up and running and starting to, and wanting to incorporate dance into its development. So we met and figured out that we liked some of the same music at least. That was a start. And then I think we tolerated each other enough to try this out. So,
You were able to tolerate him?
Yeah, it was
Boy,
fabulous.
that
Yeah.
goes a long way, I'm telling you. You know, when you talk about the Beatles, and any of the viewers know, I interviewed Jonathan a lot of times, we always wind up talking about the Beatles. It was such a hallmark in terms of culture and pop culture and society and all that other things. When you think about choreographing something that is traditional as ballet, right? And just the basic tenets of ballet, which are then incorporated into other forms of dance, more modern
Right,
forms
yeah.
of dance and whatever. What interests you about the choreographing to the Beatles?
Well, first of all, I'm English, so.
Would have never guessed. I would have never guessed
there
that.
might be a connection.
So that, so I grew up with the Beatles music, and I just, when we started talking about putting dance to it, and I know a lot of the lyrics, so I could see dance.
Visualize it,
Yeah,
yes,
I
of
could
course.
see it happening. So I love creating. So it was a challenge, but just being able to put this music on stage and see the movements was just really lovely.
Sure, it was George Balanchine that said, when someone asked him, he said, what is it about dance that interests you? And he said, it's because it makes music visible. And I'll never forget that.
Yeah,
Isn't that a wonderful
that's a
phrase?
really good phrase.
Isn't that
Yes,
something?
wonderful.
You close your eyes for a second and you start to imagine what this looks like.
Yeah.
Considering that the Beatles' repertoire is so vast, right? With so many different styles, from pop sensibility all the way to something like Day in the Life, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And Walrus
Which
and
we
all that
do.
other stuff.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Day in the Life, for instance. Why'd you select Day in the Life?
Well, we had a list. I think you sent me an email with a list of songs, and I was listening to them, and I started looking at interviews with Paul McCartney.
Oh, great start.
And
That's good.
he was saying that when he was, like, the whole end was, he could visualize the end. He wanted the orchestra, to play from the
The lowest
low
note they
notes
can
to
play
the
to the
high
highest
notes.
note. Right.
And he said that they all thought he was a lunatic, and I could just see this. I wanted to create something that was what he was thinking, and that what came off as such great music, and just to have this crazy end. And I don't want to tell you if you haven't seen it, because it's a good ending, I think.
Actually, you visualize it. One side thing, you and I talked about this, that Paul McCartney was very self-conscious about creating that ending, of asking the orchestra to come in. Originally, it was members of London Symphony, and they refused to do it. George Martin convinced them that it might be an okay idea. When it was all done, and it was absolutely brilliant, McCartney's response to George Martin was, "Is it pretentious?" You know, it just goes to show you, when you
Yeah.
try something, when you experiment, wow,
There's
you
the
never know.
risk. The risk is half the fun too, and
Yes.
Yeah.
and I think maybe for both of us, you want to create a show that speaks to people, but at the same time, you want to do something that they haven't heard before or seen before.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of the fun of this whole project too, and it works. I mean,
Yeah.
it
I
really
think
works.
it does.
We sort of both knew that the Beatles' music would translate well into physical storytelling, and to me, that's
Yeah.
what the ballet part of it was, and that's why A Day in the Life was just a great
Just a real
choice.
natural,
Yeah.
right? Did you go anywhere near Walrus?
Yes.
Well,
You
we do
did?
Yes, we do,
Well,
Walrus.
it's because- well, the orchestration
Cuckoo-ca-choo.
Yeah, absolutely. And the orchestration is so great, and there's so many great. And if people know the lyrics, there's so many great little phrases. in
Oh, my
there
gosh,
that
sure.
may not actually have anything to do with each other, but they work great in terms of grabbing different stream of consciousness things and making that
Yeah.
visual.
Well,
So,
that's the whole point. You and I've talked many times about, and Jonathan happens to have this. I don't know whether it's in your DNA or not, but you're a Field of Dreams guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every time you decide to set your sight on something. But I remember very clearly it was last fall that you wanted to premiere this in the city. And when you think about taking this idea, small dance company, somebody, the shared vision that they have, and you're going to do it in the city, you think to yourself, are you crazy? And you loaded a bus up.
We did.
You loaded your Magical Mystery Tour bus up, right?
did, yeah.
You went down there, and it was over half sold out, and
Yeah.
it was a big success.
It
I mean, how
was.
did that feel to you?
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing because, seeing it in a small intimate setting, or seeing it in the studio when you're creating, and then seeing it on stage, and the lighting was phenomenal
Right.
in the theatre, and having the band there, and any way playing with live music is fabulous. So just and I think the energy from a band as opposed to your classical music orchestra it's just different. It's like
very
the
different.
energy
So
is
you
so,
add the electricity
yeah.
to it and the kick drum.
Yeah.
The Ringo 4 on the floor. thing.
That's
And
right.
You just
You got
delivered
it.
something very different and propulsive for
Yeah.
ballet. That's what I felt too. Is
Yeah.
a whole different way to move.
Yeah.
The Four on the Floor. I was just listening to Get Back yesterday.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. And just Ringo's approach to Get Back is
Yeah.
so different from what you would totally expect, and the rhythms in that alone. If you couldn't get inspired by that alone, let's face it. Now you're here performing at Shepherd Park, and you're going to be back again in the fall.
Yes.
Did you tell me you're playing at the Egg?
We're going to take the show to the Egg. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we're
No
very
kidding.
excited for that. So October 12th. It also coincides with the grand opening week of the Strand, so it sort of kicks off this narrative of, why do the arts? Why mix all these different styles together? Why there should be some recognition of this beautiful trail that goes from New York City to Lake Placid in terms of these old theaters and its follow up to Hudson. So just a lot of reasons to do it.
Yeah.
But it's the center of arts funding in some ways too. So we're trying to bring a lot of things together.
I've got a question for you. I was thinking of just the music that you're visualizing as you're trying. Now, the Chevalier company, by the way, small troupe, probably 9 dancers, you were saying,
Yes.
about 9 dancers, classically trained dancers, moving in that genre, but as well as taking those disciplines and transferring them to this kind of collaboration. I'm just thinking of Blackbird for some reason. Blackbird, famous Beatles song, right? The structure of it is very Bach-like. The guitar, if you can play that song, by the way, you're good. Moving through that song. So in choreographing, you are able to take some of those traditional disciplines, right? Recognize them in the music and embellish them.
Yes.
Would that be
Yeah.
accurate?
I mean, this whole evening it's classical movements, but it is done in a more modern way. There's only one point piece, and that is Blackbird.
Oh, yes, good.
But it's so rich that you can make it as classical or as contemporary as you want, really.
That's
but
right.
just having, for me, having the music, and I can just see the way the dancers can move, and they're just very pliable dancers that I work with, so they're able to do what I'm asking them.
Well, then I think we have the song we're going to end this interview with, and you're going to have to guess it while I'm telling people what to do here.
Okay.
Okay, but it has something to do with the way she. And just think about that for
Sure.
a second, if you don't mind. Or
It's okay.
okay.
It works.
Well, it's a real pleasure to meet you. Good luck with this performance, and please keep an eye out. Always check the Strand to see what's going on at the Strand. But please catch this company when they grace us with their presence in our area. It's a real pleasure to meet you.
You too.
Great to see you as
Nice to see
always. And to see this interview again, you can head to our website, which is Look TV Online. Something in the way she.
James Taylor song?